Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you with us again. If you're a repeat listener, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Come back again next time. We always have some really wonderful guests who help us figure out how to grow our practice and get us to the places we want to be. So we have two people with us today. I'm so delighted. We're going to be talking about something that I think some of us thought was kind of passé. During the pandemic, clients sort of fell out of the sky onto your couch. We didn't have to do much to get them. Now, guess what? We have to go back to putting in some effort. I don't know about you. I didn't get a marketing degree along the way. It's really good to consult the experts. So we have two of those here with us today. So let me tell you about our two guests. So Jennifer Christensen is the co-founder and chief marketing officer of Beacon Media Plus Marketing, a nationally recognized digital agency helping purpose-driven brands grow with clarity, courage, and measurable results. Everybody, you need to have measurable results. That's mission critical. She's a passionate advocate for data-driven marketing that fuels sustainable growth, especially in industries that are transforming lives like mental health, recovery, and wellness. Under her leadership, Beacon has landed on the Inc. 5000 list 2 years in a row, and folks, that's no small task, and helped scale some of the country's most impactful clinics from local to multi-state operations. Jennifer brings a rare mix of creative storytelling, ethical AI knowledge, and conversion-focused strategy that makes her a favorite guest for podcasts, conferences, and panels looking for a real-world perspective on what works now in digital marketing. So that is Jennifer. We also have the benefit of having Adrienne Wilkerson, who is a nationally recognized entrepreneur, published author, and marketing visionary. As co-founder and CEO of Beacon Plus Marketing, she has led her company to multiple appearances in the Inc. 5000 list, earning widespread acclaim for excellence in digital marketing, especially within the mental and behavioral health sectors. So folks, very applicable to us. With over 2 decades of experience, Adrienne is celebrated for her strategic insight, transformative leadership, and passion for innovation. Her expertise spans executive branding, marketing strategy, and the integration of emerging technologies like AI. I'll tell you, Adrienne and Jennifer, I feel like we could have like 12 conversations out of just the things I'm reading in your bio, but here we are. Right? As a sought-after keynote speaker, she regularly shares her knowledge at industry-leading events, including the Mental Health Marketing Conference. So, Adrienne, Jennifer, Adrienne, thank you both so much for being here. I'm delighted and excited to have this conversation with the both of you.
So great to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. So that was a lot about the two of you. Why don't you tell us just briefly, what is it that you do best in your practice, in your organization?
You want to take that one?
Sure. I think what I do best is being ahead of the curve as far as finding the latest, greatest, what's going to benefit our clients and help them grow their practices. I think it's the innovation mixed with strategy.
Mm-hmm. Innovation plus strategy, right? If you have one without the other, good luck. That's great.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think part of what makes Beacon really stand out in our industry is, one, our specialization in mental health and behavioral health, but also really the transparency that we advocate for and that we practice in our marketing. That's very needed in this niche, the empathy and the transparency there. And so that's something that's very near and dear to both Jen and I's heart, and something that we really pride ourselves on. And it's something our team is really proud of too, that they get to really bring that heartfelt transparency to the marketing.
I love that. So with certainly with our team and in mental health spaces right now, the word transparency is important. How are you using that word? What do you mean from a marketing perspective by transparency?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good point, that it can translate into multiple different things. One of the main pieces for us is that it's very, very important for a client who is going to work with a therapist, work with a counselor. They're going to be opening up to some very deep stuff, right? And so it's really important that they can connect with the company that they're going to be working with to go through therapy, to go through this. And so transparency, there are a lot of different facets to it, obviously, but in many ways, what somebody sees on social about a clinic, what they see on their website, what they see in their blog, how they get their first experience with customer service, even just walking in the door or that first phone call, all of that, there needs to be transparency through the whole process. It needs to be consistent. And that person, there's always kind of a phrase in business, people hate to be sold, but they want to buy. They want to buy from somebody they know, like, and trust. And so when there's true transparency in the values and the methodology, and that is consistent throughout all of the that's part of where that transparency goes deeper than just, this is who we are. But it's that consistent transparency throughout all the different pieces of digital marketing, all the way through the customer experience, and even into all parts of their experience in the business. So for us, that's a lot of how that transparency translates into what the marketing that we do.
That's great. Yeah. So if I were a consumer and I was looking for therapy, and I'm doing what everybody does, I'm surfing the web, I've gone on Psychology Today, I've landed on the Juniper Center's website or FlexPath's website or somebody, what would end up happening is I would want to look at that and be able to see, this is exactly what I could expect. Oh, I recognize this. And this is a consistent message. And here, this is who these people really are. Your journey, the client journey, will start here. And you'll be able to anticipate that this is what your appointment is going to look like. This is what an intake looks like. This is what your insurance will do for you. All of those pieces, they'll understand that so that there aren't any surprises. So that's a part of the transparency. Yeah,
absolutely. And then even on a different level, part of even having a website that loads fast so that the clients find the information they're looking for quickly. That is part of the process that actually affects how they feel about it. Being able to see the photos or videos of the people that they're going to be meeting. Like you said, clearly laying out the insurance and all of that pathway. Do you have availability? Are they able to book with somebody directly? All of those things, every time you're adding a barrier to somebody being able to come in and potentially be a client, you're not only, hurting your own conversions, but you're making it more difficult. And it's just more confusing for them of how that all is going to work. So just even the technical side of how the website or how the marketing is set up affects their opinion and their feeling.
Yeah. That's a great point, Jennifer, because I've looked at some websites that I thought were excellent and some that I think are kind of lousy. And the ones that are easy to use, they load fast, they're crystal clear. They make my life easier. That's part of what we're looking for.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
exactly. You got it.
Removing barriers. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That's great. Most people have their bio. I do this. I went to school there. I think, I like to take walks in the woods. I mean, whatever their bio says. I think most of our bios are not great. But you also mentioned video. What are some things that people ought to consider having in a bio? And should everybody have a video?
Everybody should definitely have a video. The more, especially in this field, because again, we're looking for a deeper connection. And with social media, with AI, everything is pushing us away from connection, true connection. It's a facade. And so what happens is our consumers are getting jaded. They don't believe a written bio necessarily anymore. They'll even look at a photo and go, oh, that's photoshopped, or something. There's become, and there's good reason for that. And so when a bio for a therapist, for example, has so much more impact now because it's different when you get to hear their voice. When you get to hear their passion come through, their expressions, when they get excited about what they're talking about, as opposed to, that stale headshot that we all see, right? Those they have value, but it's very limited now because people are becoming more and more jaded. And even with AI being able to duplicate a lot of video stuff, it can't duplicate the emotion. It can't duplicate the passion. And so when a therapist shares what they're passionate about. Maybe it's a therapy technique that they really specialize in, or the story of why they choose to specialize in pediatric therapy. There's almost always a reason that prompted them to want to specialize in that. And that story, that origin story, is what people want to connect with. And it surpasses this kind of jadedness. I mean, or at least it makes some good progress in there. But again, people are looking for connection, and there's more connection in video than there is from being able to read something and see a static photo.
Boy, that's such good advice. I mean, if we were to end now, and folks, we're not going to, but if we were, that is great. Jennifer, did you want to add anything to that? It looked like you wanted to say something.
No, I mean, obviously, totally agree. She nailed it. I think the one thing I would say is if you, for whatever reason, don't feel that you can do a video right now, if you're uncomfortable with that, we have stats that just came out from a study that show that even just smiling in a photo and looking approachable has a 40% higher conversion than not. And so it really does matter how they feel about you. And the other thing that I would say on the bio is it does matter what you talk about, because really when they're going to search for a therapist, or, you know, really like any service industry, but therapy is even more this way. They're thinking about themselves, right? They're thinking about how is this going to work for me? And they don't necessarily care about all the detailed things of your background. What they do care about is who you serve well. So, you know, if you specialize in EMDR, or if you're focused, like Adrienne said, on a particular specialty, and you can really explain that or talk through that of how you're able to do that, why that's important, who you're serving well, you know, who that helps, that is going to connect at a much different level than even where you went to school, than even those pieces.
Yeah, well said.
Again, really good advice. And I look at that, we're just redoing our website at the moment and going through everybody. We have 82 clinicians on our staff. It's a lot of bios to look at, eyes crossed. And some people have done a really great job, and others, you can just tell they're not sure what to say. So a video is great. If not, a smile goes a long way. And saying something in the bio that helps people connect to you. They do not care that if I went to Loyola University in Chicago, really, unless they're an alum, which most people aren't, they aren't going to care. So that's excellent advice. So part of what I think you're getting at also is, so transparency, also authenticity, right? That people are looking for authenticity. You said people have gotten jaded. I think they're just kind of sick of looking at things on a screen, even if they're, you know, so they may be jaded, they may be desensitized, right? So that they just, you know, so authenticity is part of what you're looking for. What are your thoughts about that?
I think a great way to be authentic is to be willing to talk about something that other people aren't. And so a great way to do that, and this is a little off, but it's what I think about a lot, is being willing to talk about money, being willing to talk about expectations of insurance, of letting them know that you're going to have somebody to help walk them through that. That is like one piece, but it's almost like you can say you're authentic, but showing that you're authentic is a lot more valuable, of course, because people know the difference. So I just bring that up because it's something that I have seen a lot of, we've gotten a lot of resistance from clients of, oh, I just want to be able to talk to them first and explain everything. And they're just not going to call. You know, they're going to go to the next one that does show more information and is very authentic that way. And then it's okay to be very clear about like maybe who you're not the best fit for. That is also, you know, that harder, authentic piece of just admitting, you know, you can't serve everybody, and everybody knows that. But being willing to call that out in a very kind way, obviously, maybe with a referral to somebody else, is really positive.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I love that. Whenever we can't serve someone, if we get a call from somebody and we can't serve them, and again, we have a large team, so often we can, but not always. What a great opportunity to call a colleague and say, hey, do you have space? I have a referral for you. It's just a great opportunity to do something like that. Everybody wins. You mentioned transparency, authenticity, Jennifer, about money. And I've never seen, I'll sometimes see it on people's websites. This is what a session costs. These are the insurance policies we accept. But you're saying talk about it. Maybe have the video really mention this is what money looks like here. This is how it works. This is how insurance works. Because not everybody is a visual learner. They may be auditory, they may be relational. So that's an excellent suggestion of how to get around and maybe help people see that here, let's move this barrier, get around this barrier. This is what's real here. This is what you can expect. And it sounds like for the folks you work with, this is what you encourage them to do.
Absolutely.
Well, and people are going to naturally feel like you're being authentic when you're consistently transparent. It's pretty hard to be transparent and not be authentic. They have to come in hand. And if you're trying to be transparent, but you're not actually being authentic to yourself, that comes across really fast. Like people will instinctively react to that, even if they can't name it.
Yep. They'll
pick up on inconsistencies in transparency that affects their belief that you're being authentic. And so I love that you put the two of them together, because they really do have to go hand in hand. And oftentimes, like, one thing we walk a lot of our clients through is making sure they really understand their why, and why are they doing what they're doing. And when that is very clear, it will naturally flow out. That authenticity that leads to transparency, and vice versa, will be a natural overflow. But like Jennifer said, having the courage to talk about things that other people shy away from, that builds a level of trust faster than almost anything else that you can do in digital marketing. Because people can say anything, but when you see somebody saying it with their expressions and all of that, it's a lot easier for us as humans to believe what that person is saying, because we're looking at their eyes, we're looking at their facial expressions. Like, people can put whatever they want in writing, but when somebody says it with authenticity and transparency, I believe humanity, we naturally pick up on that. Again, whether or not we're consciously aware of their eyes shifted over here. And so I don't think I trust that, but we have instincts as human beings to pick up on that kind of thing for the most part. And it does really come through. Even again, if people can't quite pinpoint why they trust this person versus that person, there's something typically that they're picking up on. And so that's part of our job, is helping our clients make sure that that is consistent all the way through what they're doing.
So, Adrienne, what an excellent point. So, folks, those of you who are listening to this, we've had other people come on and talk about marketing and just different pieces of the marketing experience before. But boy, you two really seem to understand people and how people are using a website, what people are trying to get at when they're looking at social media, and how it works. What is the psychology of that? Yes, people want to feel like you're an actual human on the other side, who has some knowledge and authority in the area that you need to have it. And so you help people communicate that. That's part of what you do. It's here's your bio, here's your website. Let's make it be this thing that's really going to be a tool that's going to serve you best and serve your clients. So we're talking about websites. Is there anything else on people's websites that they really ought to be thinking about?
Yeah, Jennifer nailed it earlier. Look through your website and look for barriers to remove, barriers to calling you, to filling out a form. That's kind of a high level one. But there's definitely some specifics that we coach people through, even on their home pages and stuff like that. If you want to get into some of those, Jen.
It makes a huge difference. So basically, the average mental health clinic converts 1.9% of people that come to the website. So for every 100 that come to the website, they convert, almost two people that will reach out. So it takes a lot, right, to get people that will reach out and become a potential client. So our goal at Beacon, our Beacon standard is 3%. So that's just anything less than 3% is unacceptable to us. Our goal is between 5 and 10%. And the reason that is, when I look at that from a number perspective, most mental health clinics, behavioral health, like they don't have a huge budget to spend. And if you're spending a lot on ads and then they come to the site and don't convert, you're just wasting money, right? So how do you get from 1.9 to 5 or 10? And it is all the little things. So we actually have a thing on the back end. It's called Mouse Flow, where we can actually see what people click on. It's actually called a heat map. So we can actually see as they scroll and they click on the website, what do they click on? What makes them bounce off? What frustrated them? It gives us like ratings for all. It's incredible. It's like one of my favorite tools. So it's literally tracking, it's not tracking the individual person, just to be clear. It's not taking, data. So we have no idea the IP address, but it is tracking. We can see what they're doing. And so amazing data. So things just like changing the color on your button to call to action, that can have a 20% lift. So that it actually stands out in the right place. Having the right information on the homepage in the right order. We found that if we move the photos up higher on the page of the actual providers, has a higher conversion rate than when they're lower, because people don't scroll down the whole page. So many, it's thing after thing after thing like that. But the rules or the kind of overview that we gave you of how people function, as long as you kind of have that mindset, you don't have to hire an agency if you don't have the budget for it. But as long as you have that mindset, you can make some of those changes yourself. I would say ask other people too. What do you think of my website? Go through it, give me advice, because we see our own stuff over and over and over again, and it makes sense to us. So, ideally you're asking your clients, hey, was that easy to navigate? Did you have any frustration? You don't have to ask them just about the website, but maybe your whole process. As they do their intake, or even that first question, if you have an admin, those would be great questions to ask. Was it easy to get in touch with us? Did you have to call a couple times? All those things. So I know I went a little like off the rails, but I could talk about this one for days.
We could very easily.
We might have to have a part 2. This is great. Yeah, go ahead, Adrienne. Were you going
I was just going to say, like some of the very simple things, you still make sure that your phone number is at the top of your website.
Right.
Make sure there's a way to contact you for the people that don't want to call you. So a contact form. The younger generations, they don't want to call. They don't want to fill out a form. They want to chat with you. So having a chat bot on your website is another way to remove that barrier and make it easier, especially if you're targeting younger generations to interact with you. It can be hooked to your scheduling system. There's amazing AI tools out there. Talk Further is one of the ones we use a lot. Is that right, Jen?
Yeah, I love them. Yeah.
So Talk Further, amazing company. They've got a really dynamic one, but there's a lot of really great ones out there. But again, understanding your target market, if you're serving an older generation, they're probably not going to use the chatbot as much. They're going to want to fill out the contact form or wait and call you. But it's amazing how often we get leads at 1 o'clock in the morning or midnight, because that's when people are surfing. That's when they're looking. That's when they're hurting. And they want to be able to connect with you. And so you want to make it as easy as possible for your target audience to connect with you. And that's one of the biggest things that we see a lot, is that, like Jennifer said, we're used to seeing our own content in our own business. And so we look at the website, it's my website. I know how to get where I'm going, but that doesn't mean that your end user is going to have that experience, especially if they're a new client. So then one of the number one things is make it really, really, really easy. And it's multiple sources, multiple ways for people to connect and to get the help that they need.
Excellent. So a chatbot, and it sounds like an extra service that someone would have to hire a service to install that, because most of us, I'm so proud of myself. I created a QR code recently and thought I was going to throw a party for myself. Like, hey,
love it.
Right? That's the thing. So
absolutely.
So what would a chatbot do? Because to your point, that's when we're trying to make it easy for people. So that it might connect to my schedule and they can plug themselves in for an intake. That would be one way. Maybe with the chatbot, they could put in their information and request a
call
contact back. What else would a chatbot do?
There's multiple different ways to use it. The Talk Further one we really like. It was actually designed by a gentleman who was trying to get his partner into treatment and to get help, and was so frustrated by the process that he really designed it in mind of like, how do I help somebody who's really emotionally frustrated and charged and like trying to get information, and how do I make this so simple? So he designed it. There's many different chatbot options, but this one actually will like respond and direct questions, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you guys offer this? Do you have, instead of going through the website, they're basically interacting with that. And then it'll lead them to spots on the website. I'm looking for like the best provider that does this out of your 80, and it will lead them to that provider, right? So it actually kind of helps them navigate it. And then they can use that on their own time. They can go through the process, and then eventually they can book. So that one is a pretty high-end one, and it's very, very well designed. We use that whenever we can. There's also really simple ones that are just, hey, you're contacting us off hours, or maybe you would just rather get more information. How can we help direct you? Or do you want to leave your information here? Interestingly enough, when we added one to like our website, our conversions almost doubled. And it's not like it's much different than our form, but they would rather fill it out there than go to a separate page and fill out a form. So it's just psychology of where people are at and how they work. And then like Adrienne said, absolutely, it's age. Because if you're 40 or under, you generally are used to more interactive conversation online versus like kind of what I would say, like with my age, it's more like I'm used to reading information, taking it in, and then making a decision, right? But that's not how they interact.
Interesting. Boy, that point alone, I can't think of one therapist's website where I've seen something like a chatbot. What a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So you can go to some of our clients.
We can direct you to some of our clients.
Okay. Or folks, become one of their clients and get this on your site. So I have so many other questions, but we're about at our time. Would you folks come back at some point? Could we have another conversation? This has been delightful and wonderful. If you're interested, in the interim, if someone wants to work with you, how would they do that? Because boy, marketing right now is so necessary. I see on Facebook groups, on listservs, folks are saying, where did all the clients go? How come my phone isn't ringing? They're stunned because a lot of these folks, their practices came into being during the pandemic, and they have no idea. Now, what do I do when people aren't falling out of the sky? So, which is a bad metaphor, but you get the idea. So how would someone connect with you, and what would you do with them? How would you start working with them?
Absolutely. Well, you can reach us on our website at beaconmm.com. We're on all the social media channels. Usually it's at BeaconMM as well. If you're looking to research and get more information, our YouTube channel is a fantastic resource for a lot of information there. But we've got a great chatbot on our website, as well as some good contact forms. So we're, or of course our phone number's on there as well. And we'd love to talk, but, typically we schedule a discovery call and just get to know you. Like, what is your goals for your business, for your life? Like, how can we best serve you is really our heart for this industry. How can we help you reach more people and help more people, is really kind of where the angle we come at it from, if you will.
I love it. That's great. Well, we will have all of your contact information in the show notes. They will not be in the chat bot. They will be in the show notes. So folks, check the show notes so that you can connect with Jennifer Christensen and Adrienne Wilkerson. So folks, please do connect with them. Take a look at their website, see what they can do for you. We are now in an era where marketing matters, and these folks can help you. So please come back sometime. I would love to chat with you more, but thank you so, so much. Folks, come back, join us again. We would love to have you next time. Be well.